Okay, this video is about why the Garmin fits my life better than the Apple Watch. And I made a video just like this a few weeks ago. You can check that out in the card up in the corner. Watch that one after or before this one. But this one is about why the Garmin fits my life specifically better than the Apple Watch does. Hey, thanks for subscribing. Before we get started, I want to let you know that this video is sponsored by me. I just launched my website, and on it, I have a bunch of different wallpaper packs. I update it all the time, and it just features a bunch of my photography around the Colorado area. And so if you want to check that out, I sure appreciate it. So I've made many videos kind of like this before, talking about intentionality when it comes to smartwatches, or any watches for that matter. Why do you have it? What's the purpose? And the simplest way to put it is that a Garmin watch is an excellent health tracker with some smart features, as opposed to an Apple Watch or a Galaxy Watch, which is a smartwatch or a health monitor with some features, some activity and fitness features built in. And so this is really going to give you the best out-of-box experience when you're working towards your goals and your fitness training, as opposed to the Apple Watch, which is going to require more subscriptions and stuff like that. And so that's part of the reason why I like the Garmin, is that it's just no fluff, there's no frills. If I want to do a running plan, I can do a running plan. It's built all right in, and I love that. And just for reference, this is the Garmin Instinct 3 Solar Tactical Edition, 50 millimeters, with a band that I got on Amazon that I will link in the description below. And so what do I mean by intention? What I mean by that is I don't want a smartwatch on my wrist all the time to get buzzed about every little thing. Yes, there are instances where that is nice, where it is handy to be able to handle something or take a call or do something or create a reminder right from your wrist, depending on the circumstance that you're in. But for me, most of the time, I prefer a simpler approach. I prefer the simplicity of not having full access to everything on my wrist all the time, and more importantly, everything out there being able to buzz me. I like to be able to just turn all that off. And so on the Garmin, with its lack of smart features, it does that. It'll buzz for a phone call, it'll buzz for a text message, and that's really all that I want. And if I want to disable that completely, I simply throw it on stealth mode. It's 2 button presses, and I can disable and cut the communication to my phone, and that's great. And that is an awesome feature that allows me to disconnect and reconnect so simply, so seamlessly, without having to take the device off. And that's super cool. So to be able to do that, since I have a tactical version, it has what's called stealth mode. And if I go into that stealth mode, it will essentially cut off and turn off all Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, any radio signals to and from my phone. I use this a lot in the evenings during family time, and I just won't get notified of anything. It'll even cut off the weather complications and stuff like that. But let's say I don't want to cut off the ties completely from my phone, like I still want to be able to scroll and see my notifications, I just don't want to get buzzed. I simply just turn on Do Not Disturb, like that, and now it won't buzz me until I turn it off again. And it's just so much easier to be able to do that, especially when it's under my sleeve or something. So fast, so efficient to be able to disconnect and reconnect when I want to. So I like technology just as much as anybody else, and that's why I have a channel talking all about it. But I tend to be more utilitarian in nature, that the things I'm going to use, I want them to be robust, and I want them to work well for the tool and the function that they're intended for. And so this to me is a tool watch. So from the simple fact that it has a flashlight. I've talked about it lots on this channel before, but it has a simple flashlight that I can shine around, and the green is, it's hit or miss. I would prefer a red, but because it's tactical, I get the green. It's fine. But the flashlight is honestly awesome. I use it multiple times a day, especially with my kids, late at night, getting up in the middle of the night. I have chickens, I have to go outside and take care of animals in the dark. Having this flashlight is fantastic, and it has saved my butt so many times. Way better than what you get on an Apple Watch, and genuinely a tool on the wrist. And battery life. Battery life is another one of those things that's just killer on this watch. I did just charge it up before making this video, but I'm at 30 days of battery life with my current settings, and it's solar charging. And so if I'm out in the sun for, I think it's 2 or 3 hours a day, it'll charge up and hold its battery levels. So theoretically, I get unlimited battery life depending on how I use it and depending on how often I'm outside. But generally, I go about 2 to 3 weeks before I need to plug it in, and that is just awesome for something I don't really have to think about. Not to mention the Garmin Connect app is just super great. It's very data driven, it's very robust. I can rely on it all the time to get me the data I need as far as my VO2 max, my stress levels, my body battery throughout the day. Those are things I genuinely love and appreciate. Yes, I can replicate some of those things on an Apple Watch if I wanted to, but just having it out of the box and native on Garmin is just killer, and I love it. But where the Garmin experience starts to fall apart and where I've appreciated the Apple Watch is in the health monitoring stuff. This, like I say, is a fitness tracker. The Apple Watch is a health monitor. So more and more these days, especially with Apple's Vitals, when you wear it for sleep tracking, you're going to get notified when your body is starting to change or do something funny where you might get sick or your temperature's all over the place. This is not going to tell you that as well as an Apple Watch would. You would have to get some kind of an app on your phone to be able to do that. And I think Bevel is an excellent app to do that. This is not sponsored, not at all. But Bevel is just a super good app, and now that they finally have Garmin support, it bridges that gap more to make it more of a health monitoring type device where Garmin just isn't natively. Now yes, Garmin can give you notifications if you have high or low resting heart rate, depending on certain thresholds. If you're doing nothing, that is helpful. But especially with Apple's new blood pressure features that notify you if you potentially could have high blood pressure over time, that's something that the Garmin just isn't doing. And that's where the Apple Watch is going to win in that sense. And so again, they're close where they measure kind of the same thing. You can get your O2 measurements on this just like you can on the Apple Watch now and view them on your phone. But it's going to be slightly different in the way that that data is given. Apple is more health, just monitoring and give you results. Garmin is more like it's not going to do anything unless you are actively taking control and wanting to pursue your health in that way, pursue your fitness. So here's what I mean about the Bevel app. This is a look at some of my metrics from about a month ago when I was wearing the Garmin exclusively. And it gives me a lot of similar information that the Garmin would as far as my stress levels, activity levels throughout the day, body battery, stuff like that. And again, this is not sponsored at all. I've discovered Bevel and I use it and I quite like it a lot. But it gives me all the health monitoring metrics. You know, it gives me my O2 status, it gives me my sleep, my resting heart rate. It does not, this particular Garmin, the Instinct 3, does not have a temperature sensor built in, so it's not able to give me my wrist or my body temperature, unlike the Apple Watch would. But aside from that, it does give me everything else as far as my different activities and everything in there. I can see, like I say, my O2 levels. I can see, even going over here into biology, I can see my VO2 max and cross-check that to what Garmin Connect has to say. It has AI built in, which I think is super cool. And so using this app along with their AI suggestions, because it even pulls in like temperature from that day, it will pull in the weather as it impacts your sleep or your mood or your activities. And so Bevel is honestly super cool when it comes to giving you more of like a health dashboard. I've, even when using the Apple Watch, used this more so than Apple's native health features, aside from the Vitals thing. But just looking at this, I mean, that kind of gives you a baseline vitals. If you have any outliers that are like extreme, it essentially does the same thing as what Apple's health vitals do as well. And so utilizing this app in conjunction with your Garmin is going to give you a very similar health tracking experience that an Apple Watch would give you. And so that's pretty awesome. I mean, yeah, that's really it. When it comes down to it, it's no maintenance. There's zero fuss with it. This is just a tool watch. It's basic. Yes, I know there are more colorful, fancy, smart Garmin's out there, and I'm going to be checking out some of those and comparing them to this as well as the Apple Watch. So subscribe if you want to watch that. Literally watch that. But this does it for me. It's simple, it's basic, it's easy. It's got that G-Shock type ruggedness to it. I don't ever have to think about charging it except for every few weeks. And that's awesome. And that's what it's supposed to be, right? Utilitarian, tool on the wrist, maximum function, minimum friction. That's what I'm all about. But hey, thank you so much for watching and subscribing. Click on either one of these videos where you can learn about the Garmin or the Apple Watch and see which one fits your life the best.